Oh my god, are you excited for the next superhero movie to come out? Because I hear that this one's the best one since the last one that came out. This is the third of 4 DC films to come out this year. It's like the superhero trend has already been run into the ground by terrible script after terrible script, and DC out here thinking that it's 2018 pumping out this much content. Because, okay, if you guys remember, here, I'll just go ahead and refresh your memory, because chances are, and I had to do this before recording the video, I just had to remember, like, which ones got released this year. I wasn't entirely sure when Black Adam came out, but I'm sure The Rock is probably out there saying, it actually made money. No, it didn't, Dwayne. Shut up and pretend to be an action star, even though that nothing that you actually do outside of the Fast and Furious franchise is actually like a big box office hit. It's like, tell us more about how great Jungle Cruise is, you fucking oaf. Sorry, I'm stone cold for life. The Rock is just terrible. But no. Okay, at the beginning of the year, there was a Shazam 2 with everybody's favorite Rachel Ziegler. How well did that one do? And then The Flash came out. I think that was in May or something like that. And how well did that do? It's on track to lose $200 million. Fantastic stuff. And Blue Beetle out here, well, it did have some revised projections, right? Thinking that, oh, well, hey, it was going to be making $50 million. And then they ran that back a little bit to about 12 to 14, maybe $17 million. But then they thought, hey, guys, you know what? We got a hot baton from Warner Brothers with the success of Barbie. Should be able to hand it off to Blue Beetle. Again, this isn't 2017. This isn't 2018. If DCU was really hitting like that, this would be the perfect analogy to Ant-Man, okay? Ant-Man for the MCU, the only reason that film made made any sort of money back in the cut was because it got released right during the time when anything with a cape and a goofy suit could make bank. This time around, though, $30 million debut, and I'm actually hearing stuff from some guys who have gone and seen the film. It's as ideologically driven as everybody anticipated. If you were, if you were coaxed into seeing one of the early trailers that came out, I think earlier this year, with the infamous line that Batman is a fascist. Batman, one of the 2 big superheroes for DC. You're going to go ahead and besmirch him like that in order to push your Blue Beetle? Like, okay, I'm somewhat of a comic book fan. I consider myself somewhat of a comic book fan myself, but I don't know what Blue Beetle is. I don't know the name of most of these characters that are out here. The only reason that you know who Ant-Man is, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Christ almighty, all 4 of the Guardians of the Galaxy is because Marvel struck gold with Phase 1, which at the time was just, we don't really necessarily know where we're going with this one, but riding the success of Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, The Incredible Hulk, and then the first Avengers films. If it wasn't for their success, you wouldn't have had all of the characters that you see out there right now. Doctor Strange would only be known because of his inclusion in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Great game, by the way. DC, on the other hand, yeah, they have probably the 2 biggest names in all of comic books. We can waffle on Spider-Man where you would put that, but they have Batman and Superman, and they can't manage to push anything across the finish line. They went an entire trend without having a Batman film that ended up making over $1 billion. Let that sink in. The only one that got close to that, or actually the 2 that ended up crossing that, was under a different regime. Those were under Nolan's supervision. But no, Dawn, Aquaman 1 made over $1 billion. Okay, let's see how steep that drop-off is when the second one, the follow-up to $1 billion film, we'll see what that makes during the Christmas season this year. But yeah, okay, what are the projections? It's gonna take #1 at the box office? No, man, I still think Barbie's hot, and it's a totally different demographic than... I don't even know who the demographic of this is, because you're gonna tell an origin story at the time when everybody's, pretty much made up their minds when it comes to superhero films that, oh my god, they're just laborious, not for the fact that they're good, bad. It's just everybody's indifferent because the track record and everybody having a little bit of pattern recognition realizes that, yeah, after Endgame, it was pretty much done. You guys should have just wrapped it up. And then just, yeah, that label of failure that has now been associated with everything involved with DC right now, you got that slapped on there. Nobody's turning out for this shit, man. $30 million, I think that's going to be the top end of projections. Everybody's pretty much done, man. They went and checked out Oppenheimer. Their chicks went out and checked out Barbie. That was about it, man. It went up like a fart in church. The same with this. So will Blue Beetle be the latest DC superhero adaptation? Well, it's definitely going to be the latest one, okay, to knock down Barbie at the domestic box office. I doubt it. I'd imagine Sound of Freedom is probably going to make more money than this piece of shit's going to domestically. It will be a closer than expected race between the two Warner Brothers releases for the top spot, despite Barbie entering its 5th weekend in theaters. Let that sink in for a second. You have a superhero film and that is going neck and neck with something that has been in theaters for 5 weeks. For 5 weeks, and it's going to be close. I don't know where the money's going to be coming from. How on earth do you more than double your projections from a week ago when it was about $14 to $17 million, somewhere in that area, to now $30 million? Yeah, I don't think so. Starring, good on you, pal, as the alien symbiote is targeting $25 million to $32 million. Yeah. I would be shocked if it gets anywhere in between there, man. The comic book adventure is landing on Friday at 3,850 venues, including some IMAX screens. Yeah, and some of those IMAX screens are very much taken over by Oppenheimer, which is still making a lot of fucking money. Meanwhile, Barbie is expected to add a stellar $17 to $20 million over the weekend, with $537.4 million in North America, and yeah, likely to crest Super Mario's domestic total for 2023 to become the biggest in North America. Super Mario still with $574 million. So yeah, if not this weekend, then next weekend, highly likely, because the staying power, even if Blue Beetle is a success over the weekend, which I highly fucking doubt, and I think you will as well, that it's going to be making even a fraction of what it does this weekend. Best of luck to you. But again, James Gunn out here saying that, oh my God, this is the best superhero film since the last superhero film. I don't believe a goddamn word this guy says. Last time we talked about him was when he was refuting the claims that Gal Gadot apparently made up this entire meeting between her and Peter Safran and Gunn himself about the future of Wonder Woman, and muddle fucking all of that stuff up, and him saying, or at least through an intermediary, that no, that didn't happen. So I'm thinking that there was probably some meeting that ended up happening, and it's probably very similar to that of Henry Cavill being reaffirmed that, oh, don't worry, guys, James Gunn, he's definitely 100% going to be making a Superman film. Don't worry, Henry, we love you, baby. It's going to be great. Don't call us. We'll call you. And then he gets a press release that, what the fuck? I'm not going to be in this shit anymore? I'd imagine Gal Gadot probably got the same exit interview. And while I'm not a big fan of Ben Affleck, especially when it comes to his relationship decisions, he decided to just go scorched earth. No, I'm not going to be exploited for my directing talents. No, I'm not going to be acting or reprising my role as Batman again. Get fucked, the entire lot of you. I'm going to go make some artsy-fartsy, overproduced, overpromised film at another fucking studio house. Go to hell, Warner Brothers. I appreciate him for that. Now, if he could just tighten up everything else in his life, hey, man, you might get a little bit more appreciation from me. But James Gunn out here doubling down on Blue Beetle's future in the DCU. Yeah, because he said some wild things about this. Going for, or rather, back in the cut, behind the scenes, him saying that, don't worry, guys, Blue Beetle, because I think he's very much a part of this. Not just for the fact that he's going to be taking over the DCU when it's ultimately going to be dead in the fucking water in 2025, but I think he definitely has something to do with this, in so much as, yeah, Blue Beetle is going to be the first character in James's DCU, but the Blue Beetle movie is also not going to be a part of the it's really fucking weird, okay, what he's trying to do with this one. So, sharing a photo taken at the film's premiere, the filmmaker and writer confirmed that Blue Beetle will eventually return. I can't wait for he's also said this to literally everybody else. Oh, don't worry, we love Ezra Miller. There's a possibility he could return. Gal Gadot, she's attractive. She could reprise her role. Don't know about that. Henry Cavill. Amanda Waller's going to be there. Oh, and I'm going to make sure that my wife gets cast in all of the future projects. And John Cena's Peacemaker. Oh, isn't he wonderful? I can't wait for audiences to meet Jaime Reyes, who will be an amazing part of the DCU going forward, Gunn wrote. Many fans have taken this as further evidence that Blue Beetle will ultimately show up in another project, and many hoping that he'll at least cameo in the upcoming Booster Gold series of the character's connections in the comics. Yeah, who knows who Booster Gold is? Like, I know because of a description that has been afforded to me by other people, but Who the fuck is Booster Gold? What the fuck is Blue Beetle? Does anybody know? Does anybody care? More importantly. And yeah, the Booster Gold series, if you take a look at the timeline that James Gunn has set out in his 10-year plan for the DCU, it is somewhere towards the end of that 10-year plan. So we're looking at what, like 2030, 2032 in order for this kid to reprise his role from a film that's ultimately going to just dissipate like fucking dust in a windy room. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing, James, other than just line up a fucking storm? So James Gunn promotes Kelly Sue DeConnick's Wonder Woman queer history rewrite, says that it's breathtaking and beautiful. Oh yes, so if we are going to be getting a wonderful reprisal of Gal Gadot, no, it's not going to be that dark, gritty, dour reprisal of the Zack Snyder vision of the character. No, she's just going to be a scissoring enthusiast. The fuck is going on? Okay, a run for Wonder Woman, who, at least for DC, one of the top 3 biggest characters. Like, obviously, you got Green Lantern that's going to be up there. You got Flash. But a part of the Trinity, like DC has the Trinity, unlike Marvel, who has, you know, like, okay, what are their 3 biggest properties? Okay, X-Men, yeah, of course, and because of rights issues, you know, Marvel didn't have access to that. Spider-Man, they didn't get it until halfway through their film repertoire. I would say the Hulk, and again, it was another licensing issue, so they had to create good characters. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you had DC that's out there that has some of the biggest names. It's just hilarious how inept this fucking company is. I'm just saying, man. But is DCU in trouble, at least for Wonder Woman? No, we're not talking about the mixed messages when it comes to Gal Gadot's future, who was confirmed for a sequel, but then not by Warner Brothers in a span of a day. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be getting the Wonder Woman 3 movie because James Gunn and Peter Safran, we sat down and had a lovely conversation about the good hands the Wonder Woman was in. They caressed me and told me I'm in good hands. I thought it was fine, but we're going to have Wonder Woman 3. And then some James Gunn emissary came out and said, nah, that's totally cap and this bitch weird. Something else came up that could portend where the Amazon and the Paradise Islands are headed as a whole in James Gunn's universe. Yeah, exactly. Starts with Gunn himself and giving flowers, so to speak, and flattery to Kelly Sue DeConnick. The filmmaker and DC studio executive showcased a cover of some of the pages of DeConnick's Wonder Woman graphic novel, Historia of the Amazons, which retells their stories and morphs them into something readers don't recognize. Yeah, it was a big reason why the Wonder Woman run in comics ended up going up in fucking flames. Historia is a breathtaking work of sequential art and one of the best things to come out of DC Comics in the past few years. Unbelievable. Thank you, Kelly Sue, Phil Jimenez, Gene Hahn, Nicholas Scott for the incredible experience. What a fucking, I don't want to say that one, a page that shows the sub-pantheon of the mythic Greek goddess accompanied by her adorned with occult symbols. Oh, are you fucking serious? Because I got it pulled up right here, obviously. Okay, hopefully this isn't bad. The artwork, I wouldn't go as a cover picture. I would consider that a little bit lacking, but the watercolor pencil aesthetic, I think there was a frame in there that I couldn't show because there was a big BIPOC set of titties right there. And then you got this screen in here as well. It's like, yeah, okay, that looks whatever. It's not fucking fantastic or anything like that. DeConnick thanked Gunn for taking time to praise and highlight the pages, and because she is perpetually online, it's incredibly kind of you to take time for this here on Blue Sky too. Thank you. So yeah, as was previously reported by Bounding into Comics, our readers may recall we reported on Historia 2 years ago when DC went blindly behind the scenes and into DeConnick's and Jimenez's impetus for the book. She was very clear she wanted to reinterpret the Amazon mythology to suit today and current trends. Unfucking believable. Because this is fiction, when we write about the past today, we're not really writing about the past. Oh my god. God damn it. I hate everything about this, and this is the exact reason why Marvel and the superhero trend basically died. It's because they just went ahead and they tried to tell all of the stories that were just responsible for killing off comic books. So they just went and told all of those shitty stories. Lady Thor, Ms. Marvel, the current iteration of Captain Marvel. All of that shit has been released in the past decade or so. And how well has the comic book industry been doing? Well, it's doing great if you take a look at all of the sales reports, but you also have to realize that it's mostly cannibalizing off of manga sales. But when you take a look at the North American comic book industry, it's fucking dead because they're too focused on figuring out where the fictional characters want to rub each other's junks as opposed to telling tremendous otherworldly stories. There's a bunch of different, let me shout out something, on YouTube. I can't remember the specific channels or anything like that. No, actually can't, because I would just end up saying something that's completely untrue and send you guys in a different direction. But there's a bunch of overarching comic book story plot summaries, and they're very good, okay? Not just talking about the videos themselves, like they're pretty high quality as well, but the guys telling the stories of these arcs that are missing from a bunch of your favorite characters, and the fact that all of those are getting glossed over in favor of fucking Ellen DeGeneres' Themyscira. What the fuck? And if that's not enough of a kick in the nuts for you, so James Gunn, the reason that he showed Henry Cavill the door is because, well, I wanted to tell a younger Superman story. Until it came out that after claiming the reason he fired Henry Cavill was because of his age, James Gunn says, I was never making a young Superman movie. What the fuck can you believe from this guy? Okay, because he said that The Flash, and I'm quoting verbatim, was the best superhero film that he had ever seen. That one right there. And even if you did go see it, chances are you didn't, because the box office was atrocious. But that was a fucking abomination on a multitude of levels. He has absolutely shot his credibility before even the first film came out. And that first film, at this point in time, it's got to be fucking spectacular, because not a lot of people are going to be looking forward to Superman Legacy in 2025 when it does release. And it better be fucking top tier shit. But you take a look at everything else that James Gunn has attached his name to. It's all goofy characters. It's just an ensemble. It's wacky shit. Fuck, he used to work for Troma, for Christ's sakes. If you don't know what Troma is, it's a B-film horror studio where you're goofy, you're crass, you're over the top. What was Guardians of the Galaxy? Curtailed, over the top, crass, experimental ideas, topics, and characters. A fucking anthropomorphic raccoon, a fucking talking tree, a bunch of robots, and a bunch of aliens, okay? It's perfect for James Gunn. Can he extrapolate? Can he move that type of storytelling over to the all-American hero that is Superman? I highly fucking doubt it. Maybe it'll be wonderful. Maybe it'll be fantastic. But just like Blue Beetle, I'll just go up like this, because James Gunn, hey man, I don't know if I've ever seen a film from his, okay? All I know is everybody holds up the first two Guardians of the Galaxy like they're the shining pillars of why everybody should take James Gunn seriously. But then you take a look at everything else that he does and realize that, maybe he needs a little bit of control. And I like to throw in a good wrestling reference every once in a while. To me, it seems like James Gunn, and this one might hurt, okay? James Gunn is the Vince Russo of the comic book industry. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.